Hey all you vets out there, welcome to my channel. This is your Veteran Tech Guide. The purpose of this channel is to provide veterans or soon to be veterans with skills that are being used in today's technology industry. My name is Isaac. I spent about 7 years in the US Army. Now I'm a systems analyst working in corporate America. With this channel, I want to do something a bit different. I want you as the veteran to consider your skills, knowledge, and experiences, and I want to be able to show you how we can take a military scenario and through technology connect it over to the business world. So follow me and I'll lead the way for you to explore, learn, and thrive in the technology industry. Let's go ahead and get started. From our last few videos, we talked about the database, we talked about the table and the different structures that go into the database. Now what we're going to do is talk about inserting data into the tables. Now, there are a few key terms that we didn't cover in our previous videos, but we're going to cover in this video here. That's going to be insert into as well as values. Now, those key terms are going to be used to insert the data into the table. So what we have here, again, we're going to have Azure Data Studio as well as Docker running in the background. Last week we created this table here just to provide a little bit of structure of what's going on in the database. Now, as I mentioned before, the table is going to be named based off of a topic that we're talking about. So if I were to run this little snippet here, we see that it executed successfully. Now what we want to do is we want to verify that there's nothing in this table. We're going to do our select star from personnel. Run this one-liner here. We see that there's nothing in this structure. Now I have the code insert into as well as values for this particular table. Now to break this down a bit, this is our keyword that we're going to be using. This is essentially a command that we're moving forward with. Here is our table name. And then if we look up just a bit, we see that the columns that we have are ID, name, rank, and duty station. Very similar into the insert into, we have our ID, we have our name, rank, and duty station. It's important to know that whenever you're inserting data into these tables, the columns that are represented in that table need to be visible or ready to use when you're inserting into. Now, with that said, we can see that the data that we want to actually put into the table are going to be represented by the keyword values. Now, values is essentially that. It's going to be the fields that are going to be found in the table, right? And so what we have here, if we look up again, our first column is going to be ID, name, and rank. Each one should match up with a one-to-one here, right? Let me actually bring that back. So 1 is going to go into ID, John Smith is going to go into name, Sergeant is going to go into rank, and Fort Drum is going to go into duty station. Now, this is just for one record, if you will, right? Let's go ahead and run this. We're going to see that that executed successfully. Again, we're going to run this code just to verify that it's actually in there, and that's going to be our select all from personnel. Run that, and now we see that we have a record of data in the table named personnel. If we wanted to insert more data, we definitely can, and more than likely there's going to be a business process built into your system to allow for multiple rows to be inserted into the table at the same time. Now with this, we can go ahead and let's say 2, let's say Alex Johnson. Again, these are going to be comma separated. Let's say private. And now, importantly, we actually have to make sure the quotes are surrounding these. Take this comma out because that's bad syntax. Comma. And where do we want to send Private Johnson? Let's say Fort Irwin. Irwin, how do you spell Irwin? There we go. Now, once we do this, since we've already inserted data into the ID of 1, which is our record 1, more than likely we're going to get an error here because of a thing called referential integrity. And referential integrity means that no same primary key can be inserted into that table. Again, this is our unique identifier, and there can only be one. So let's go ahead and try to run this, and we should expect an error. All right, so we see that a violation of a primary key constraint. Again, this is just essentially letting us know that we're violating that referential integrity. So if we were to go ahead and run our select all from personnel, we still see that there's only one record in there. Now, what we can do to kind of just do away with this, I'm for now going to drop the table because essentially we have to start over. There are business processes that we can build in, but we're starting at the basics for the time being. Let us create this table again. We're creating the entire structure over. Select all from personnel. We see that there's no data in there. Now let's go ahead and insert both of these records into that table. Now what we should see are a unique identifier of 1, a unique identifier of 2, and then all of the information that goes with it. Let's run that. We see that 2 rows are affected. That's a typical message that we would receive when inserting data. This is really what we want to see. Let's go ahead and select star from personnel. Again, just wanted to see all of the records in that particular table. Now what we see here, we have 2 different records. One is captured by the ID of 1, the other is captured by the ID of 2. And record 1 is John Smith, Sergeant, and he's at Fort Drum. And record 2 is represented by the number 2, Alex Johnson, who is a private and is at Fort Irwin as his duty station. Now, this is very important, just kind of talking about the insert into and values, right? This is essentially giving our database a lot more structure. So the table, the record, the column already gives it that structure. But what we want to do is have this database useful to our business processes, right? And the data is not useful without data. And at the end of the day, what we're doing as the technical professionals is turning this data into information. So I hope this video was helpful. Very basic here, but I think it's important to start at the basics just so that we have all of the information as we move forward and start to get into a little bit more complex queries. So that's it for today's video. We went over a few key terms that you should know when working with relational databases. If you found this information helpful, please consider following my other socials and liking, subscribing on this video here, as well as sharing this information with other veterans. So until next time, this is your Veteran Tech Guide, where we are exploring, learning, and thriving in tech. See ya.